This video will contain minor early game spoilers for God of War and God of War Ragnarok. The Prose Edda, also known as the Younger Edda, is a significant source on Viking religion written in Old Icelandic, around the 13th century by Snorri Sturluson. It serves as a handbook for Norse skaldic arts and aligns closely with other sources like the Poetic Edda and Codex Regius. It consists of four main parts: a prologue, which is likely written by Snorri, attempting to cast Old Norse beliefs as really not all that different from Christian beliefs; Gylfaginning, the deluding of Gylfi, a dialogue explaining the basic outline of Norse religion; Skaldskaparmal, poetic diction, a dialogue on how to compose verse in the skaldic tradition with examples from Norse myth and legend; and Hatatal, a poem written by Snorri to illustrate his virtuosity with Norse verse and in praise of two contemporary rulers to curry favor, not usually included in translations. Snorri, although Christian, respected old traditions and is believed to have transmitted them largely intact. After Snorri's death in roughly 1241, the work was copied several times, with 7 medieval copies still existing today. The Prose Edda contains both mythic stories and legendary tales. It remains a crucial text for understanding Norse mythology and poetry.
Wow, that was something, that fight.
On our journey, we will be attacked by all manner of creature. To be effective in combat, a warrior must not feel for his enemy. Close your heart to their desperation. Close your heart to their suffering. The road ahead is long and unforgiving. No place for a boy. You must be a warrior.
But not everyone is bad. Mother always said to be open to those who can help.
Who you were before doesn't matter. This boy is not your past, he is your son. And he needs his father.
Set in a world rich in Norse mythology, God of War 2018, or just God of War, is an action-adventure game developed by Santa Monica Studios and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment for the PlayStation. Shifting from its predecessor setting in Greek mythology, God of War 2018 transitions to a rich world of Norse mythology. Players find themselves as Kratos, the former Greek god of war, trekking through the 9 realms seen within the Edda with his son Atreus to spread the ashes of his wife in the highest peak of all the 9 realms. Along the way, Kratos and Atreus encounter multiple lands, creatures, and gods interpreted from the Prose and Poetic Edda. One of these gods is Baldur, a god written about in the Prose and Poetic Edda about his death causing the start of Ragnarok. In a translation of the Prose Edda, Baldur is said to be a god that everyone loves and praises, stating that he is so fair in feature and so bright that light shines from him, and was protected from all. The Prose Edda also states that his mother, Frigg, had a dream that prophesied of Baldur's death, leading Frigg to make every object on Earth vow to never harm Baldur, except mistletoe, since it was so young to take up the oath that it wouldn't be a worry for Baldur. Loki, infuriated by his newfound invulnerability, shapeshifts himself into a woman to persuade Frigg to speak of what she has done, and reveals that a vulnerability has been left open on Baldur, and decides to create a spear made of mistletoe. Then, using the spear, Baldur is killed instantly, and his death is set to cause Fimbulwinter and eventually Ragnarok itself. It is also important to note that some translations of the Prose Edda state that Loki crafted an arrow instead of a spear, so there is ambiguity in what he was using. Adapting Baldur's story, God of War 2018 portrays him as the main antagonist. An early game confrontation with Kratos shows that Baldur is portrayed as a scrawny, rune-covered man with an arrogant demeanor.
I thought you'd be bigger. But you're definitely the one. Long way from home, aren't you?
What do you want?
Oh, you already know the answer to that.
Whatever it is you seek, I do not have it. You should move on.
And here I thought your kind was supposed to be so enlightened, so much better than us, so much smarter. And yet you hide out here in the woods, like a coward.
This initial encounter leads to an intense, destructive battle where Baldur reveals how disappointing it is that he still cannot feel anything, taunting Kratos throughout the fight.
When Odin sent me here, I just needed answers, but you had to act all proud. Throw whatever you have at me. I'll keep coming. That old body will give out. But before I end this, I want you to know one thing. I can't feel any of this.
This interpretation diverges significantly from the Prose and Poetic Edda, presenting Baldur as a formidable opponent rather than a beloved god. Additionally, the way that Baldur complains about his invulnerability shows a divergence from the Edda, in which the invulnerability is more of a curse instead of a protection.
I'd hope that you, of everyone I'd faced, would finally make me feel something, but you can't.
The fight concludes when Baldur's neck is snapped. Of course, Baldur isn't the only character Kratos and Atreus will encounter along their journey. One of these characters adapted from the Edda is the world serpent Jormungandr. Appearing in multiple poems in the Poetic and Prose Edda, the world serpent is described as a creature so large that it could wrap around the earth itself and still bite its tail. God of War 2018, of course, took this as a challenge to flex some of its strongest muscles by making its representation of Jormungandr some of the most impressive large-scale encounters in gaming history.
It reads, "Sacrifice your arms to the center of the water. Awaken again the cradle of the world." What? Throw our weapons into the water? Guess that won't be a problem for you. Are you gonna do it?
The axe did not return. What is this?
It's the world serpent.
Stay calm, boy!
I am! This is great!
It speaks?
Yeah! Mom said he's friendly!
What does it say?
I don't know!
Additionally, the Edda tells a tale of Thor having a massive rivalry with the World Serpent. While this plot point isn't as prominent in God of War as it is in God of War Ragnarok, there are scenes touching on Jormungandr's rather petty rivalry with Thor.
Odin had that statue made in honor of Thor. And seeing as the world serpent absolutely abhors the fat dauber, he was probably sick of looking at it.
But doesn't that hurt?
Well, he and Thor have a bit of an unpleasant history between them. Or they will, anyway. So I guess waking up to see it was worse than the thought of lumps of solid stone passing through his gullet. You want me to ask him?
No.
Overall, though, God of War manages to successfully utilize the stories from the Edda to create an interesting baseline for its own stories. It remains faithful to the Edda while putting its own take on it to provide a very interesting story. However, Kratos and Atreus' story does not end with God of War 2018. The death of Baldur signaled one thing only: Ragnarok is coming.
About that? Pretender god! Or the old father!
Death can have me when it earns me.
What do you even know of God's word? In your lifetimes, has anyone ever worshipped you? Ever prayed to you? Can you even imagine that kind of love? No! You don't care about anything beyond yourself. Beyond the monster who kills without cause.
At least 4 years later, God of War Ragnarok is the sequel to the critically acclaimed God of War 2018. Set roughly 3 years after the events of God of War 2018, God of War Ragnarok follows the story of Kratos and Atreus and the unsteady progression towards the prophecy of Ragnarok. Along the journey, Kratos and Atreus encounter familiar and new friends, as well as new foes. One of these characters is Thor, the god of thunder and wielder of Mjolnir, who has a significantly different personality than that of the Edda and even other forms of media. Those who know Norse mythology and the Edda are more likely familiar with Thor being represented as a strong and powerful, but benevolent god, but most people will likely perceive Thor as how he appears in something such as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, due to its widespread popularity. However, God of War Ragnarok diverges significantly from these tellings of Thor. Instead, Thor is very threatening and imposing, towering over Kratos.
Nice place.
This interpretation of Thor shows him more as a volatile god, acting calm and peaceful, but has a threatening aura following wherever he steps, while each of his words show massive restraint.
You could have told me before I poured. Why are you here? Just, being polite. You seem like a calm and reasonable person. Are you? A calm and reasonable person. If the moment calls for calm. I'd say the moment calls for calm. Yeah.
Of course, that restraint is quickly thrown away.
About time.
Alongside Thor, the adaptation of Odin is almost that of a juxtaposition when compared to Thor. What Odin lacks in physical brute strength, he makes up significantly in his cunning. The Edda describe Odin as a god who seeks all knowledge to share with mankind, going as so far as to sacrifice his own eye in order to gain knowledge. God of War takes these roots and shows an adaptation of Odin who is more of a silver-tongued god, often knowing exactly what to say and being incredibly narcissistic.
You know who I am? Back before winter set in, there were some misunderstandings. Regrettable ones. But I think we all have a better idea of who we're dealing with.
This interpretation of Odin diverges significantly from how he appears in the Edda, since he is the main antagonist, but every word he says has players on edge the whole time.
What do you want?
How about peace? How does peace strike the esteemed, retired God of War? How about we just don't kill each other? How about you stay home, kick up your feet, seek no quarrel with me, and I'll have none with you. Of course, it means that that one has to stop his search for Tyr.
Yeah. We know what you've been up to. Stop it.
Tyr's old ways are dead. He is dead. You understand? And then that's it. Then we're square. Shit, I'll even sweeten the deal. I'll let you keep the prisoner that I know you stole. That's right. I know you're in here somewhere, you silver-tongued little shit.
Why should we believe a word out of you? What have your promises ever been worth?
There he is, my old partner in crime.
He's lost weight.
If he tells you snow is white, he's lying.
What kind of wisdom is that? Can't the smartest head alive see past?
One of my own personal favorite adaptations of the Prophecy of Ragnarok is of Skull and Hati. The Prophecy of Ragnarok tells the tale of two wolves pursuing the sun and moon in hopes of devouring it. God of War Ragnarok manages to adapt the scene in one of the most visually stunning scenes in the game.
Elsa!
Utilizing key points from the Edda, God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok managed to combine Norse mythology with its own creative storytelling methods in order to tell a rather engaging story. There is so much more in these games inspired by the Edda than what I have shown, but unfortunately I cannot show all of it or else this video will be 12 hours long. I would highly recommend actually playing the game or at least watching it on YouTube to fully appreciate the story that Santa Monica Studios have crafted together. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely day.